my friends, how are you all doing? Today is Friday, June 23rd, and I am back for my stitching update. It has been 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you've been doing well. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. My name is Olivia, and this is Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. This is a YouTube channel where I typically talk about my cross-stitching as well as my quilting. However, if quilting is not your cup of tea, no worries. I show them a little bit later on in the video, and I'll let you know in plenty of time when they will make their appearance, so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. So how have you guys all been? Hope you had a great 2 weeks since we last hung out. For us here, it's been incredibly busy. Before I go any farther into today's video, there are two things. One, you're most likely going to hear Freddie chewing in the background of the video. There's absolutely nothing I can do about that. He went and found the biggest bone he has, and he's sitting on the couch and he's very loudly enjoying it. He'll do it for a few more minutes and then he'll go find something else to do. But I'm going to go ahead and just continue filming today's video. The other thing is there will be no quilts in today's video. The last 2 weeks have been incredibly busy, and I just have not had any time to sit down and really work on something. I do have a quilt that's in pieces, but it's not put together enough to show it in today's video. My friend Retha and I got together 2 weeks ago, and we cut out our spangled quilts. And I think it was the end of last week, I got a little bit of the segments assembled, and then the other day I worked on just continuing assembly. But again, it's nowhere, there's just no way that there's nothing to see except a bin where everything's being kept. I will try my best to have quilting in my next video. However, if any of my quilting friends entered the giveaway in my last video, you might want to just fast forward to that giveaway part and see if you are a winner. And again, I do apologize for not having a quilting segment today, but I will do my best to have it next time. So over the past 2 weeks, we did have a college graduate. Our daughter Allison graduated from Western Oregon University with a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology. So we are very proud of her and really excited to see where the path takes her going forward. And then Ethan, he completed his junior year of high school, and he will be a senior in the fall, and I cannot believe it. Can't believe either one of the kids are as old as they are. It just feels like time went by super fast. Before I forget, I do have a little bit of a Etsy shop update. So I have been putting project bags into my Etsy shop, and if that is something that you're interested in seeing, I'll put a link to the Etsy shop down below. It's been kind of hit or miss over the past 2 weeks just because there was a lot of other stuff going on, but I'm hoping that as summer goes on, things will quiet down a little bit. We do have some projects around the house that we will be doing, but the plan will be to continue adding project bags to the shop. So if you're at all interested, definitely go check that out. And to anyone who has purchased a bag from me, I really, really appreciate it, and thank you so very much. I thought I'd start off today's video by showing some recent finishes that I had. The first one is a redo of an old finish, and I think it was just called Summer by the Prairie Schooler. I believe the chart has all 4 seasons, and for whatever reason I started with Summer. I stitched this one many years ago, probably when I first started doing Flosstube. I think maybe during that first summer of my first year making Flosstube videos. I think my original intention had been to stitch all 4 seasons. I started with Summer, and that's the only one I did. When I originally finished it, I did it with sticky board. It was like 2 pieces of sticky board, washer magnets, and then it must have I must have had a frame. My intention had been to swap them all out seasonally, but once I finished this one, finished it with the sticky board and the magnets, washers, that first year after I was done displaying it, I stuck it in a drawer and I forgot all about it. And in an effort to try to redo all of those finishes into my more primitive style. I took it off of the sticky board, and because of the way I had cut it, I had to add pieces of linen to it so that way I could lace it onto a piece of mat board. I did have somebody ask why I take them off of the sticky board. So the reason why I do is because I want to frame them. And anytime you start to go in and try to pry the two pieces of sticky board apart, because I had two pieces of sticky board and then I attached it with hot glue or Aleene's tacky glue. And anytime you go in and you start taking it apart, it warps the sticky board underneath. So they have to get a fresh piece of mat board. So I use 3 pieces of batting and I lace them to the piece of mat board. So the frame was from the thrift shop. I had the husband cut it down for me. I painted it black and I lightly sanded it to give it that primitive look I was going for. I don't know what I originally stitched it on. It was either a 28 or a 32 count even weave, and I did use the called for DMC. I love it. I love it so much better. So of course I put the craft paper on the back, and the only thing left to do is to add a hanger. I love it. So I love it so much more now. My next finish is Liberty House by With Thy Needle and Thread. So I showed this one in my last video and then the couple before that. Last time I talked about that I had taken the alphabet out and I had restitched it with a darker piece of thread, and I love it so much better. This frame also was a thrift store frame that I had my husband cut down. I painted it black, and then I took a little bit of rub and buff to the frame to kind of give it a little bit of a sheen. I was hoping it would kind of help the more silvery elements of the piece stand out a little bit more, and I really like it. I also finished it with the craft paper, and all that's left is to attach a hanger that I love. I'm so very glad that I stitched this one. It was one that, you know, had just been kind of kicking around for a while, and you know, every time you see it on Flosstube or Instagram or Facebook, I would always think I really just need to go get it and stitch it, and I finally decided to. So very glad to have this one done. So I stitched it on a piece of, I believe, 36 count Confederate Gray, and I used all of the called for threads, except for the alphabet, I believe was stitched with Weeks Dye Works Bark. And if that is incorrect, I will make sure to put the correct information down below in the description box. So over the past 2 weeks, I worked on my assignments, but then I started a whole bunch of things, which is totally out of character for me. For the last 5-6 years, I've been very much a rotation stitcher, couple of things in the rotation, working to kind of eliminate projects in the mocking basket, and here I am starting a bunch of new things. And let me show you the assignments I worked on, and then we'll talk about everything else. So the first thing I worked on was Elizabeth Furiness 1836 by Hands Across the Sea samplers. I think in my last video I had just started working on the flower, so our June assignment was to work on this flower over here. And it is a doozy of a flower. It doesn't look like it, but there are a lot of stitches in it. However, when you finish it, it's magnificent. So here is my progress. So I got a little bogged down on the flower. There was a leaf that I stitched and ripped out 4 times. And the thing that was really frustrating was I kept making the same mistake over and over and over again. And I finally had to come at it a different way. So that way maybe I wouldn't make the same mistake again. And I did anyway. But I was able to finish it. It's a beautiful flower, so detailed, and it just pops on this linen. I love it. So I am stitching Elizabeth Furiness on a piece of 40 count bee's knees by Seraphim fabrics, and I am using the DMC conversion that is listed on the chart, and I'm stitching at 1/2, and I love it. So I'm looking forward to getting back to this in July, and I believe our July assignment is to finish the top border and then drop down and do a little bit of the lawn. So can't wait, really looking forward to it. I really enjoy working on this sampler so much. She's so beautiful. My next assignment was The Houses of Hawkern Hollow by Caratel Sampling. So I'm stitching on this with my friends Yvette and Becky Socks for Mom. And Yvette went in and she'll break each block up into 4 segments. And each month we just work on one of those 4 segments. We are working on the second block, and we are on we just finished, or will at the end of the month, have finished the second segment of 4. And here is my progress. So we started building the house, and when I pick it up the next time, I will finish the house. But I love building a beautiful brick house. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count Heritage by Picture This Plus, and I am using DMC, and I'm stitching it 1/2. I did make some changes, and unfortunately I did not bring those changes today to talk about, but I will, when I get the whole entire block done, I'll talk about the color changes that I made, and then I will list those changes down below in the description box. So it'll be a couple months. But I am using various DMCs, and I'm stitching it 1/2. I love it. Love it, love it. I'm so happy that we decided to start working on this, because it is going to be beautiful when we finish it in 5 years. And then the last assignment was Spooky Countdown by the Primitive Hare, and I just finally finished the June assignment. I finished it the day before yesterday. I do not know why it takes me forever to finish the different segments. When I first started out, I felt like they went by really quickly. And then the last couple of months, I felt like everything is just slowed way down, and it's taken me a long time to finish stuff. But I'm happy to say I have finished the June assignments, and I'm looking forward to July. So it's coming along beautifully. And I'm stitching it on a piece of 36 count Jack-o'-lantern by XJUDesigns, and I am stitching it with the called for DMC 1/2. And I'm also stitching this with my friend Yvette. All right, so that brings me to all of the new starts that I did. Now, I know you guys might think it's a little crazy, but I have been kind of struggling with my rotation over the past 8 months. I really started to notice it about November. And I had actually thought about starting all the things January 1st, because some of my friends were doing that and have continued to start, you know, if they get a wild hair, they just start it and add it to their rotation, and they've just really been enjoying it. And I've just kind of continued on the same path that I have for the last 5-6 years. But over the past couple of months, I really wanted to try to make a change and try to find something new, because my rotation, instead of feeling joyful, you know, things that I'm working on, you know, just feeling very joyful working on it, started to feel more like a job. And I started noticing that the amount of time I was spending working on a project was decreasing. And instead of getting 2 hours in the night, I was only averaging an hour to 45 minutes. You know, and that's not good for these videos, because I need to have content for these videos. So I definitely was stressing about that. And then at the beginning of June, Yvette had sent me a message, and we were talking about some of the things that she was going to start. And she told me that starting in July, she was going to do no new starts from July to December. She had a few things she was going to start during the month of June, but then in July she was stopping, and she was going to load all of the projects that she had started throughout the year into a wheel. And after she finishes her assignments, she would spin the wheel and allow the wheel to tell her what it is that she would work on, and then she could just decide how long she wanted to work on it. And I thought that sounded like a lot of fun, so I told her I was going to join her. I needed a new challenge, and I felt like this was just the right thing for me. So I went into my kitted projects, and I selected 16 of them. I tried to keep them medium to small. There is a sampler that is a large one, which I haven't started yet, so I won't show it until my next video. but I have started a few of them. And there is one that I don't have yet, and it's one that I was on Instagram and I saw Lisa Kindred Stitcher was working on it. And the thing that really drew me in right away was the beautiful flowers in the border. Then I went and I read about it, and I found out that it is a sampler that was designed by the Stitching Parlor. It's called Persuasion. It's a Jane Austen adaptation sampler. So I called up Acorns and Threads and I ordered it, and I don't know when it's going to arrive, but when it does, I'm going to start it. So two exceptions to the no new starts is that when we finish Spooky Countdown, because I'm working on Spooky Countdown with Yvette, we'll start another Halloween autumn piece. And then in November, I have my birthday start, which will be Sarah Stewart Hardman. But other than that, once July 1st rolls around, I'm going to challenge myself to have no new starts and just work on the stuff that I have started. So out of 16 projects that I picked, I started 7. The first one is from the book Souvenirs of Summer by Blackbird Design, and it is called Summer Jubilee. So I have wanted to work on this one for forever. It was out of print for the longest time, and then when Blackbird re-released, well, when they released this book, it was in there. So I've had it kitted, I've had it waiting, and I was able to get the tiniest little bit of a start. So most of the stuff I just worked in the upper left-hand corner on a border. This is one where in person, the pink border shows up way better in person than it does on camera. And I'm stitching Summer Jubilee on a piece of 36 count tin roof by Weeks Dye Works, and I am using all of the called for threads. So there's that one. Number 2 is a pattern by Not Forgotten Farms, and it is called Flag Folk. I have my working copy. I have decided to, whenever I borrow a chart from a friend, I'm just going to make a working copy of it and stick it in a safe place, because I almost had a disaster with one of my own charts, and it got me to thinking about what if this had been a chart I had borrowed, and some of the ones I borrowed I can't replace them. So I've decided to only leave working copies in with my project, and this one I could replace it, but I decided to just go ahead and start the rule of making working copies from charts I borrow. So this is Flag Folk, Not Forgotten Farms, and I have a little bit of a start. So again, upper left hand corner, I'm stitching out a piece of 36 count eggshell. I am using the called for threads, and I am stitching it 1/2. So this is another one that I have wanted to work on for the longest time. Number 3 is a chart by Blackbird. It's called In My Garden. I love this. And once again, this is a very, very tiny start, and you can't even hardly see it. It's right in here. So this is a piece of 28 count gingham in the color Cocoa by Weeks Dye Works, and I am using the called for threads, and I'm stitching it 2/2. So hopefully that one, and it's a small one, so when it's done, it'll be a drum finish. This is another one, I just absolutely love it. I can't wait to have it come up in the rotation or spin the wheel. Number 4, yes, number 4 is by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread, and it's called Land of Liberty. So I've had this one for a couple of years. I've had it kitted up, just been waiting. And I have a very sad start on it. So these 4 I worked on last Sunday, and I just started them and then put them away. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count, it's either 36 or 40 count, a vintage country mocha, and I'm using a variety of threads, and I'm stitching it 1/2. I just checked my notes, and I am stitching Land of Liberty on 36 count vintage country mocha. My next new start was by Plum Street Samplers, Live on Little. And this one I've seen a lot of people work on, finish, lots of progress. I absolutely love it. It gives me those Liberty Welcome vibes, and I think that when it is done, it'll look wonderful next to Liberty's Welcome. So I'm stitching this on what I hope is a piece of 36 count American chestnut. To me, it seems a little bit bigger. And before I continue working on it, I'm going to count the threads and make sure that it is 36 count, because that's what it said on the label. I've had it for a while, just kind of waiting for the perfect project, and I think it'll be perfect for Live on Little. So I am hoping that it is 36 count, and if it's not, I'll hopefully have something in my stash where I can restart. But I am stitching it with all of the called for threads, and I'm stitching it 1/2. And if it was a 32 count, I would think by now, especially the coverage, I would think that I would realize that's what it is. So I don't know if it's because I had just come off of working on a bunch of 40 count and it just seemed way bigger, that maybe if I spend some time working on 36 count and then come back to this, maybe it won't seem so big. I don't know. But love it. So happy to have that one started. Next, and I think this was my 6th start, it is Butternut Tavern by Stacy Nash. So this one I've had kitted since either 2021 or 2020, and I wanted to start it, pulled out 100 times, and for whatever reason I didn't, but now's the time. So I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Dead Sea Scroll by Seraphim Fabrics, and I'm stitching it with the called for threads, and I'm stitching it 1/2. I absolutely love Dead Sea Scroll. I think it is a gorgeous piece of linen, and someday I would like to get a little bit bigger piece. So when I started it, all I did was work across the top just to kind of have some of the flowers started. Nobody does flowers better than Stacy Nash, because I'm also working on Halloween at Hollyberry Farms, and those flowers and that border are spectacular. And then my 7th start was the Noel Sampler by Brenda Gervais with I Need on Thread. So I've had this one kitted for a couple of years, wanted to start it 8,000 times, and finally decided to start it. So you can kind of see how I kind of approach what I was going to have a new start on. Tried not to have anything that was too overly big. Because when I first got my mocking basket of whips, a lot of the stuff in there was huge, and that's kind of why it ended up in there. So I thought, if this doesn't work, if I decide after December that I'm not enjoying doing this at all, it's not like working on these. It's all everything that I've wanted to work on, and things are not huge. But here is my progress on the Noel Sampler. So I'm stitching it on a piece of 36 count vintage cedar plank by Lakeside, and I'm stitching it with the called for DMC. I'm stitching it 1/2. I love it. So I first saw, I think it was Carol Crago. She had stitched the Noel Sampler on a piece of vintage cedar plank, and it is gorgeous. And I knew immediately that's exactly how I wanted mine to look. So I'm really looking forward. So far the colors pop, but I do have a piece of really white DMC, the B5200, in with the threads. And I think I might have put it in there because there's a white color that I feel like is gonna blend. So I think that's why I stuck it in there. So really looking forward to getting back to it. So a lot of great starts that I'm super excited to get back to. I can't wait to start loading them up into the wheel. I know you guys might think I'm crazy, and I know there are a lot of stitchers out there who have very strong opinions about people starting all the things, but I really just was looking for something fun. I wanted to kind of infuse something fun into my stitching again. I think a lot of my problem is I just have a lot of worry in my personal life, a lot of anxiety, and I think that's a lot of my problem. And I'm hoping that, you know, this will kind of shut that worry, that anxiety out of my mind when I'm working on these pieces, and I can just focus on being a process stitcher for a while and just working on things that only bring me joy. I mean, everything I have kitted up would bring me joy, but a lot of the stuff that I did not choose was because it was so big. So I will be starting more, and I will have those to show you in my next video. And also, I believe my next video takes me into July, so I will be back working on my assignments. And I'm looking forward to doing that. But yeah, just trying to find a little bit of fun in my stitchy life. So I thought I'd make a second attempt at showing Fred in today's video. I tried a little bit earlier, but he was having none of it. And I know in the last couple of videos I haven't had him on, and last video I totally forgot. In the video before that, he was super dirty. He had been out playing in the freshly turned up dirt, and instead of being white, he was caramel colored, which was a good look for him. But yeah, he was super dirty, huh? I disturbed him from his nap. But yeah, I thought I would show him. He's absolutely adorable, as always. So over the past couple weeks, I did receive some packages from the Fat Quarter Shop, and all of these items are available now on the Fat Quarter Shop's website, and I will put a link to their website down below. First thing that they sent me was the Stitch Quarterly Cross Stitch Subscription Kit. It is called Summer Paradise, and here is what it looks like. So I had got an email from them last week saying that they did have some of these kits still available. So definitely, if you're interested in this, I would definitely go check it out. And I do believe they still have spots open for the Stitch Quarterly because it is a club. So the kit comes with the chart. It also comes with the DMC to stitch it, as well as a needle. There is a needle minder that looks like the house. And it comes with a piece of 14 count Ada by Fabric Flair, and it's called Sea and Sand. So that is very cool. I don't think I've ever seen one like that where the background's made to look like a beach scene. So there it is again. And then they also put a pressing mat in there to press your stitched pieces. And all of it comes in this adorable project bag. They also sent me some cross-stitch charts. The first one is called Hank, and it's part of the Chicken Club by Lori Holt of BMI Bonnet. Stackables May by It's So Emma. So very cute and springy. Summertime, which is part of the Simply Signs pattern series, also by It's So Emma. Star Spangled Ornaments by It's So Emma. They are all very, very cute. And then the Typeface series called Patriotic by It's So Emma. It includes 3 Americana designs. Thank you so much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending me those items. And again, if you're interested in any of the items that I've shown, they are available on the Fat Quarter Shop's website, and I will put a link to that website down below. So I did get a little bit of Happy Mail, and this one actually came before my last video. It was behind me the entire time of that last video, and I completely forgot to show it. I've also misplaced the card. Everything is a mess. Like if you go out in the pit of despair, it's beyond despair right now. It looks like a tornado went through there and just things are everywhere, because when Allison came home from the dorm, a lot of that stuff went out there, and we've been purging the house, so a lot of that stuff went out there, and it's a huge mess. So her card is out there somewhere, but Michelle from Under the Woolen Willow, she sent me this adorable strawberry pin keep, and I absolutely love it. I have it in the trench bowl, and I have been enjoying having it. I have a lot of her strawberries. There's one right there. So she makes these chenille strawberries, and she distresses them a little bit so they look nice and rusty crusty. And I love them. I have quite a few of them, and I have other items that Michelle also makes. But she has an Etsy shop where she sells all of her beautiful handmade creations, and I'll put a link to her shop down below. Her Etsy shop is called Under the Woolen Willow. She is also on Instagram under that same name as well. I absolutely love this so much. I've enjoyed having it in my trench bowl. So right after I recorded my last video, the mail arrived, and it brought this big package to me. And Kathleen had contacted me after one of my previous videos and said that she had the perfect piece of barnwood that she thought I might be able to use for Spooky Countdown. She said it came out of a barn that was built when Montana became a state. So I want to say it was like 1889. She included this beautiful cross-stitch card, which I do plan on framing. And let me show you the piece of wood because it's humongous. And here it is. So this big piece of wood came in the mail and I absolutely love it. I have had it, it's kind of moved about the house a little bit because I'm trying to decide if I really am brave enough to cut this piece of wood down to fit Spooky Countdown or if I could get away with making it into a shelf. But I absolutely love it. I love the fact that it has history behind it, that the barn would have seen so much. It would have seen horse and buggy days. I mean, just the wood alone, the wood would have been cut down. It would have been taken by horse-drawn carriage to the mill. It was, hand cut. Just so much history in one little piece of wood, and I absolutely love it. So thank you so very much, Kathleen. I cannot wait to get Spooky Countdown done and then cut it a little bit so that it'll fit the piece unless I chicken out, make it into a shelf. But I absolutely love the history behind it, and it was so very kind of you to send it my way. Thank you so very much. So in my last video, I did have a giveaway, and as always, thank you so very much for playing along. The question that I had asked was, what was your very first cross stitch, or if you're a quilter, the very first quilt that you made? Loved reading through all of your guys' answers. If I call your name, what you will need to do is contact me via email, and I will put a link to my email down below. If you have any trouble getting a hold of me via email, you can always reach out to me on social media. So I am on Instagram. You can send a private message to me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts on Instagram. Or I do have a Facebook page that's called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting, and you can send a private message to me that way as well. I just kind of direct people to the email because it's easier to keep everything in one place. But if you have trouble getting a hold of me, please feel free to reach out to me those other ways. Number one was for the Liberty House by With Thy Needle and Thread, and the winner is Cheryl Hoffler. Number 2 was for My Home Sweet Home, also by With Thy Needle and Thread, and the winner is Catherine Cerutti, Cerutti. Number 3 was for the Scarlet House's Martha Evans, and the winner is Lynn Willow. Number 4 is for the Block Bonanza pattern, and the winner is Rose Jackson. And number 5 was for the Quilt Block Foundation paper piecing. There's a variety of them here. And the winner is Debbie Duncan. So again, congratulations to all of the winners. Get a hold of me via email or however it works for you, and send me your address and I will get your prize out in the mail to you. So this video also has a giveaway, and what you will need to do to be eligible to win is like the video, be a subscriber, and answer the question down below. There are 5 prizes up for grabs, so somewhere in your answer you will need to indicate 1 through 5 which items you are interested in winning, and in my next video I will announce the giveaway winners. Number 1 is for the Summer Paradise cross-stitch stitch quarterly kit. So if you're interested in winning the entire kit, this is number 1. Number 2 is for the Summertime Simply Sign. So if you're interested in winning this, it is number 2. Number 3 is for Hank Chicken Club. So if you're interested in winning this, it is number 3. Number 4 is for the Typeface Series Patriotic. So if you're interested in winning this, it is number 4. And number 5 is for the May Stackables. So if you're interested in winning this one, it is number 5. The question that you will need to answer down below is, if you could go to any retreat, be it cross stitch or quilting, which one would you go to and why? So the one that I would love to go to someday is the cross stitch retreat that is put on by Quilter Station in Lee Summit, Missouri. And the reason why I picked it was because I discovered that Lee Summit, Missouri is an hour and 15 minutes from St. Joseph, Missouri, which is where my grandfather and the Limebach clan came from. So I would like to be able to go and visit that. So it'd be kind of like a 2-for-1 trip. But then I discovered that in between Lee Summit, Missouri and St. Joseph, Missouri is Kansas City, Missouri. So on my way to St. Joseph, Missouri, I would have to stop in KC and go to Arrowhead Stadium so I can see where the Kansas City Chiefs play football. So if I could go to any cross-stitching retreat, it would be Quilter Station in Lee Summit, Missouri. So put your answers down below, indicate which items you're interested in winning, and in my next video, I will announce the winners. And as always, thank you so very much for playing along. Well, my friends, as far as everything goes, that is all I have to show and share in today's video. If you stuck around for this length of time, thank you so very much. I do appreciate it. And if you're brand new to my channel and you liked what you saw, I hope you will consider subscribing. I do upload every 2 weeks. The plan for me will be to continue working on my new starts, and I'm really excited. I think this is going to be just what I need. Just kind of a fun, just fun. That's just kind of what I need right now. I just need some fun. So I'm really looking forward to it. I like the challenge of having no new starts from July to December, except for the ones I mentioned. But I'm excited. I'm also very curious how I will feel in December and how because this is going to be kind of an experiment for me. I've never done this before, so it's going to be interesting. I'm very curious as to how I feel about it. I definitely have notes jotted down about how I feel about it right now, so it'll be really curious to see how I feel about it December 31st. But the plan for me will be to have new starts until July, and then I will be back the first part of July to talk about it. I'm not exactly sure when that first video falls in July, but I do plan on being back in 2 weeks. So I hope you have a great couple of weeks. Thank you so very much for stopping by today, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.